The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Greetings, traders, and welcome to my special presentation today on what I'm calling the Ultra Boomerang Trader 2021. This is a new enhanced version of Boomerang Day Trader that many of you who've purchased Boomerang over the years have been used to and have had tremendous success with. I want to thank you very much for making Boomerang one of the most popular day trading software in the industry over this time. I've got great news for you today. I've enhanced it, and I'm going to show you exactly what those enhancements are and how it's going to help you with your trading. Before we get started, let's read the risk disclosure statement and realize that futures trading is risky and only risk capital should be used for trading. It's not for every investor. And risk capital is described as money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle. Only risk capital should be used for trading, and only those with sufficient risk capital should consider trading the futures markets. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results for Boomerang Day Trader, or for any type of futures, really. So with that in mind, I want to thank you for joining with us for this webinar here today. I'm going to go over the enhancements of Boomerang. We're live here in my Day Traders Action Room, and it's on and off day. I'm just using the room itself here today to record this for us. So let's get started. I'm going to go over an entire session, which you'll get moving fairly quickly once we get going, but I want to cover all the details and literally overtrain the method a little bit for the members who own Boomerang. And for those of you who are wanting to buy Boomerang or been thinking about it, wait till you see the new enhanced method. It's going to really push your decision-making chip over the edge, because it's really exciting. So here we go. I don't know what day this is or anything, but let's just get started. This is the opening. This is a West Coast chart here. At 6:30 is when it's showing the openings. It's 9:30 New York, so it's 3 hours ahead in New York. That's all. No big deal. And what we're changing, if anything, on Boomerang, for those of you who are experienced Boomerang users, we're only going to be using the dynamic trend band number 2 now, and I'll show you later how to pop that out. Really, it's just a matter of going into the dynamic trend band and coloring your dynamic trend band number 1 the invisible color. That's all you got to do. That's very simple to do, and I'll go over that with you later, but I suggest you stay for this very brief seminar on the new dynamic trend bands and everything that we're doing, so it'll really get you up to speed on the methodology and how to use it. And for those looking to buy Boomerang, just hang on. It's really simple. What we're doing is we're placing these. Here are the core ingredients here of Boomerang Day Trader. You have a trade signal line alert here, which tells you a new trade signal is opening up, a new trade channel. And you can see the channel's all color-coded red, so it's very easy and visually quite intuitive to read. All the candles are colored red. And you have within the trade channel, well, first of all, overshooting that, you have this, what's called our dynamic trend band, which gives you like a little bit of a larger picture bias. Not much, it's for day trading. It's a larger picture bias. And then even a more extended bias is this blue dash line here, dash dotted line, which I call the core bias line, CBL, the core bias line. This is core for a bigger picture intraday trading thing, picture that you want to trade. So the components of the trade channel are, you have the rim of the trade channel, which is this red line here, and I recommend you have it colored. You just go into the trade channel indicator, and I'll show you that a little bit later, and you can color this line and make it a little thicker, maybe make it like a two points coloring of the trade signal line. Many of you already are the rim of the trade channel. This is the slow line on the trade channel. Color it, mark it 2 points. So On the other bias side, we have the dynamic trend bands, which are an indicator I've invented, which are included with your purchase of Boomerang. And you can see what I call opening is when this dashed line crosses the white line, they're opening, and it creates a bias channel within the bias channel. And our new core channel for buy within the channel is the trade signal line, which is this dashed line here crossing over the Cobra, and the Cobra crossing into the trade channel. See what I mean? So I've got all the bias setups. They're very pristine and very accurate. They're deadly accurate, and you're going to love them. I'm going to show you that right now in these still charts. And if you want to get a live demonstration of this, what you can do is just come into my trading room and take a look at it moving live. You know, do some hardcore research if you want, and join the room for a month or so, and you'll see it in action. But if you get inspiration just from this video, if you've been watching Boomerang already, I think you'll be ready to go. And keep in mind, we're going to have you'll get a special notice in your mailbox pretty soon with a special offer here for the end of the year. So we get a trade signal. You see that opens the channel there. That's first thing. You wait for the candle close. The dynamic trend bands are open, which is a good sign, but not necessarily required for the new method. And you have the trade signal line running through the center of the briefing, not necessarily the center, but inside of the briefing. Now, where our entries are is when we get a pullback to the signal line with everything else lining up. So we've got, I'm going slow at first here, and then we'll power through the rest of them pretty quick so the seminar doesn't go too long. You have the sell channel opening. The dynamic trend bands are opening. That's a good sign. The trade signal line is within the trade channel, and the Cobra, this is called the Cobra, this dotted dash line, I forgot to mention that, it's a key component here, has just crossed into the trade channel over this rim of the trade channel. I call it the rim. It's the slow line of the trade channel. For Boomerang users who want to activate that and thicken it up a little, put it 2 points, I think is good. All that's in place. You trade a pullback to the signal line, which is alarmed and marked right on the signal line. It prints a dot in a millisecond as soon as it's hit. You'll be watching that over on the right side of your chart for when the price marker merges with the signal line marker. You just go short. You go short, and you'll see that dot printed, and they'll hit the price to the downside. Now, the goal of each trade now with the new approach, the new method, Boomerang Day Trader 2021, is 8 points in the current market environment, subject to change, but I think in this current market environment and for 2000, at least the next 6 months or so, I think it'll be pretty volatile. And with this method on Boomerang, 8 points is a very attainable target. You'll see other trades will run substantially more. We don't really care about that as long as we get our 8 points. Because keep in mind, as you develop yourself trading this method, you work yourself up to 4 contracts, you're going to be seeing on 4 contracts an 8-point move is $620 after commission. 8 times 20 minus $5 for 1 round turn commission. You see how that works? 8 times 20 bucks for mini Nasdaq is 160 minus 5. 155 times 4 contracts, 620. You can multiply it 4 or 6 or 8 contract, whatever you want. It's going to include the commission. So every trade I show you here, if you're trading 4 contracts, it'll be worth 620 bucks. So there's your first trade, goes down 8 points, mission accomplished. You wait for the next trade. Well, now you see the trade signal here. You have the signal here for the new buy channel. You have the trade signal line crossing into the channel, and this one's a little flat, and the dynamic trend band came under the core bias line, the CBL, and usually you'll get some kind of surge when that happens, and if it doesn't, it's a good sign that if the upside's probably going to work out better again, because most of the time, I'd say about 70-80% of the time, when you get across under or over there's a surge. You can see that effect taking place right here where there's a big surge. In fact, it's bigger than that, I think. Yeah, look at that. It's a whopper. So you see the buy sign. Now in this, maybe you want a little more confirmation. So you wait for the Cobra to cross into the trade channel, cross the dynamic trend band. See, here's a dynamic. Wait for that. And you see the green on the rim of the trade channel. Then you can go long here on a pullback right here to 48.50. And believe it or not, they ran them up 10 points right in this little tiny move. Then they took off like a rocket ship with the Cobra and everything getting established on the other side of the core bias line. And then, of course, with the dynamic trend band crossing here, you got a super surge on the upside, chopped a little, and then just ramped them straight back up. And that's fine. I'm just saying it's just another, you can see how valuable these tools are for bias reading. So there was nothing to do here. Again, just one of those, who cares? We got our 8 points, right? That's 2 winning trades so far. And we're watching for the next trade. Now, this is not a signal for a sell. Why? Because first of all, you don't have any real trade channel open. Everything's all scrunched up together. You're on the buy side or the above side of the core bias line, and you have the dynamic trend band up here, which is blue colored, which is the bullish color. Now the core bias line, if you already own Boomerang, you can email me, I'll tell you what it is, but I'm not going to give it to you here. It's a very important number. And you can see how well, with our 450 tick chart configuration for Boomerang, look how well it keeps you on the right side of the market. So we had this sell here failed. So whenever you have a failure, then you get a counter buy, which came in here. Right here you can see the arrow, just barely, but you see the arrow here. That's usually a good sign they're going to pop them up again. So you get a buy sign, trade signal line into the channel. Do you see that? You got everything stacked up. You got the Cobra already in the trade channel. Buy that pullback right there. 27 quarter, and 27 quarter jams up to 38.75. You got, 11 points there. So you got 8 points within that. They wiggle around here, but they didn't make a counter sell here, so there's no counter buy to get aboard this one. Just let it go, and then it chops around up here. Now keep in mind, you're getting pretty extended up here. After the dynamic trend band crossed the core bias line, it made a pretty extensive surge, obviously. So my point is, you might want to be a little careful on this last trade, but let's just go over it anyway, because it is a correct setup on the right side of the core bias line, so, and the blue dynamic trend band line. So take the trade. Here's your arrow right here, buy. Watching again, you got to follow the steps. You don't necessarily need the pressure bands open, but it sure does help. And they're open here, you can see, crossing over here on this jump up here, crossing over, opening the dynamic trend bands. And then you've got the Cobra as of this line here, or this candle, crossing over the rim of the trade channel, buy a pullback to the signal line here at 66.75, let's say 67, and up they go to give you the 8 points. See how that works? That's the new method, and it's really incredible. Well, now they're getting overcooked even more, and I'm going to go over all the setups in this particular day. I don't know which one it is, but you'll be able to see the results. So now you might be thinking, well, I'm going to start working the sell side. Now notice here, not that this is really important, but it's just a way to read the, you start seeing these dynamic trend bands crawling under the core bias line, and opening here. Looks like they're trying to take that market down, even though in hindsight, from the still charts, we can see it was very choppy. But when you're trading live, you'll see these same signals set up, and you just have faith in the method. You get into the signals, place your stop. You can do it with your brackets, put an automatic 12-point bracket on, an automatic 8-point gain, and just set it. And all you got to do is you need your good common sense and simple system to follow and place the trades. Wait till you see what the rewards could be. Sell signal, the trade channel. You got the Cobra right here under the rim of the trade channel. It doesn't have to match the color necessarily. You go short at the signal line, which was around 66.75, 67, and 67 drops down here to 57. There's 8 points right there. 8 point gain, 12 point stop. You with me? Let's move on here. And I'll give you a count on these later. I'm just trying to plow through this so I can show you the dynamics of setting it up if you're a Boomerang owner, and understanding if you want to become a new member, realizing how amazing this is. There's no other system on the market like it. I absolutely know that for a fact because I've seen everything that's out there. I've been trading 33 years and in the business with excellent reputation for over 21 years. Here's a new buy arrow here, and you've got the dynamic trend bands opening here. The Cobra is already within the trade channel, which is green, and the trade signal lines there. So here's a pullback, and price are just, here's the Cobra dynamic trend band, sorry, the trade signal line just climbing over the dynamic trend band. You don't need that signal. It was actually the signal on this candle, but there you go. It's perfect anyway. It's just an additional market force bias confirmation. And look at that. Kablamo, up they go. And this was after they dipped, prices dipped a little under the core bias line. Pull back to the signal line here at 72.75, and up they go for 8 points. Now, an interesting thing here, and I'm glad this is here because it helps me to explain one of the rules we have. If you get a trade signal, and this is an old rule, still very much valid, you get a new trade signal with the arrow printing on this candle and they surge lower, you're not going to go short on a trade at the bottom of what's called a fat channel. If you turn your head to the left, you'll see the fat channel here. You do not want to take a trade down at the bottom of that because usually it's going to reverse, and you see it substantially reversed there. It's not always like that, but it's rare that they'll go the same way unless there's a real negative bearish type tone in the market. I don't think it's going to happen here, but you wouldn't take this trade just as a matter of the rules. Well, guess what? And also because you notice the dynamic trend band is holding the core bias line here, so there's still more upside to go before they decide differently. Look what happens. Get a new buy channel, just following the rules. The price pressure bands open, which is a good confirmation. Not necessarily required, but a very good confirmation. The trade signal lines within the trade channel, which it normally is going to be, but it's always good to double check it. Now you wait for the key thing is this Cobra to cross over the rim of the trade channel. In other words, the slow moving line on the setup on Boomerang. You just go to the your trade channels and find the slow moving line, and you can thicken it up a little bit and set it up for coloring it. So here you go. There it is, crossing over there. And also again here you see the trade signal line crossing over the now blue dynamic trend band. You buy a pullback to the signal line and up they go. Amazing. Now here comes prices under the dynamic trend band, giving a new sell channel here, and you can see it's all crystal clear, all red candles, and nicely coated for giving you the shade of the channel. Everything is very visually intuitive, easy to use for traders who are ready to rock and roll. Here's the trade channel. The price pressure bands are open. Right here, the Cobra is moving into the trade channel, so there's your signal right there on the pullback. 0350 it looks like, or 375, 350. There'll be a little slippage on that, but we teach you how to catch as close as possible the trade signal line. You'll figure it out. All you do is you see where my cursor's moving. Say it was right on that 0475 and you see it right move and sit on top of it. That's where you just hit your short button. I'm just giving you an example. So right here, short at 4, and they wiggled against the trade a little bit by a couple points. No big deal. 4, and then down they come for 8 points. Same thing here. I'm going to speed up just a little bit if you don't mind, because it's very routine actually. Buy signal, price is dipping back up above the core bias line, the trade signal line in the channel, and here's the Cobra right here crossing the bottom of the trade channel. Pull back to the signal line, and up you go for 8 points. A counter move now. Sell channel. Look at that, because these are scalps. Even though it's 8 points, it's a scalp in this current market. So look at that. The Cobra moving under the rim of the trade channel, pull back to the signal line, and crunching them down for 8 points again. And again, I'm keeping a total here. I'll go over it with you at the end of the seminar. It's a very brief seminar, so stick with me. Here they take off like a rocket ship, even though we're getting a sell. It's a typical thing, and this is a typical why we don't take these. Trade way up at the top of this fat channel. If you turn your head to the left, you'll see the big belly on this thing. You're not going to take these trades way up here. They usually reverse a little or a lot. This one reversed enough to stop. Yeah, that's for sure. We're not going to take those. You want to get a trade signal like an arrow, which is kind of hiding under this Cobra here. You want it to be as close as possible to that arrow candle with all the correct configurations. But this is not a trade here, so skip that. No sell trade here, because why? It's just whipsawing around, and you can see you have the red dynamic trend band still above the core bias line, the CBL, so there's just really nothing to do here. Just watch and wait. There's no real sell channel forming. And same here, just whipsaw. Now here, again, this is going to be a little higher thing coming out of whipsaw, but just to show you how Boomerang handled it, there's the sell channel. And that arrow, you can mark it for, an alarm on there and everything. You'll know when it shows up. And you get the arrow, you get the dynamic trend band or the Cobra crossing under the rim of the trade channel, pull back to the signal line, and let's see what happened. 1575 knocks him down to 07. So still it squeezed out 8 points here. We won't count that one though. I won't count that one as a signal. You could have taken it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's below the core bias line. The dynamic trend band is bearish color. It's got all the ingredients. You just go in there and scalp them. So up they go. Buy channel opening up in this candle. Same routine. You're always going to have the dynamic trend band in the channel, so you don't have to watch it. I just mentioned it earlier just so you're aware of it. And when you buy Boomerang from me, I want you to go over 20, 30 charts, still charts at first on your own. Get completely familiar with your setup there and everything. And then I want you to trade on your simulator, on NinjaTrader. They have an excellent simulator. Trade on your simulator for like a week, or if that's too much, 3 or 4 days. If you're more experienced in trading, don't worry about it. But trade on your simulator, get really familiar with it. It's like going to the gym before a triathlon race. You're not going to sit at home and eat potato chips for a week before the triathlon race. Duh. Obviously, you're going to be where? At the gym every day. For how many hours? Who knows? Probably 8. That's your business. That's your livelihood. You're going to run the triathlon. You want to be in the best shape you can. You're talking to your trainer. You're getting all the things you need to be core ready to rock and roll when you go for your run. Same with trading. Take the business serious, and it will take you serious. Take it casually, it'll take you casually and take your money away. Take it serious and watch how the market responds, especially if you're using a proven system like Boomerang. Rim of the trade channel is crossed here by a pullback to the signal line. It's still choppy, but look what happens. 34 runs up to 42, didn't quite make 8 points, whips around a little bit to 26. Woo, 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 big deal. It's holding the trade channel. They're still holding the trade channel. Prices are. You got the dynamic trend band crossing over the core bias line. Just relax. You see, you can read the market while you're doing all this. You go, no, I'm going to just hang on. The dynamic trend band is blue, the bullish color. The core bias line, it's crossing over there. I'm going to wait. And sure enough, from your, what was that price? I said 33.50, 34. You eventually get your move up here to 49, and you get your 8 points. Then they flip to the sell side, crossing prices red and under the dynamic trend band, the Cobra crossing the dynamic trend band into the trade channel. Here's your yellow dot, pull back the signal line. They're marked, and you can trade off the signal line, but just watch the price markers on your chart. Get ready to get aboard, get lined up in it. Boom, you hit them right there at 33.75, and they come immediately down to 23.50. Right in there, there's your 8 points. I know they went all the way down here, and we'll do advanced training for catching those later. But all I want you to do is follow the core signal, because remember, on 4 contracts, that's a $620 paycheck, and I think we just got about 8 of them or so. But I'll work on seminars with you later for this. Don't worry about it. Then you get them over here, you cross them down. Now on these, there's no trade, because if this had given us a counter buy arrow, then back to a counter sell arrow, we would have had a trade here almost guaranteed. What you can do is, if you see the dynamic trend bands open, and I'm not recommending this necessarily except for really advanced Boomerang users, or after you've purchased Boomerang, say you bought it from me today or tomorrow, and you've been using it for 3 or 4 months, something like that. Just be willing to take your time with trading. Don't be so jackrabbit, like a hungry coyote, I call them, with the tongue hanging out, trading, trading, trading. Forget it. Just calm down, relax. You're with the best now. You got Boomerang Day Trader. But this is one approach, is to watch for the dynamic trend bands. Look at that. It's red. It's crossing into the rim of the trade. This is a surge on the downside. And it's also, by the way, notice you're just crossing under the core bias line. So you should try to train yourself to expect a surge. So when you didn't get a counter signal to come back in here, watch for the dynamic trend bands open. It's virtually the same. Trade a pullback signal line, and there's another trade, but we're not going to count that. That's just a free bonus gift for those who knew that method. And you can watch this video over and over until you're familiar with it. It's very simple. And again, I'm going to show all the existing Boomerang owners at the end of this how to set up your charts for Boomerang 2021. Again, new buy channel signaled right here. The dynamic trend bands are open, and look at that. The Cobra crosses the rim of the trade channel. Pullback signal line, 8 points. I'm not making this up. It's all happening right before your eyes. When you're in the live action, it's a little different from looking at a still chart, but the indicators are so powerful. I use them every day in our room. I've had our room for 6 years approximately. It's not a problem. You just follow the method, have some faith, you'll see what happens. Same routine, sell channel. DTBs are open way up here, which is fine. Dynamic trend bands, I'm sorry, the price pressure bands. But as soon as that Cobra crosses under the rim of the trade channel, you go short right there. 99 drops them down for 8 points. Now let me ask you this. Do you see any trade signals in here? No, there's nothing. This just jumped to the moon. You see that pullback there, but look at this. This is a flat dynamic trend band, not pointing down like these. And that's not a core part. The method is to just follow the exact system, but this is like not something you're going to want to trade up here, because it's just all whipsawing. So that's going to sometimes cause Boomerang to print some signals, but just watch for the core method. And so what we're looking at here now is you've got the dynamic trend band crossing under the core bias line, the CBL. So my God, look out. Here comes a sell channel as of this candle. This is probably something you could have a little more faith on the sell side with, because it is crossing. So you go short here, and before it even really gets going, 92 is taken down to 81. You've got 8 points in there. Again, I'll give you a count later of those. I think we're at about 12 or 13 now. It's a lot of $600 paychecks. There's no guarantees in futures, but using our software here, Boomerang Day Trader 2021, I think you're going to have a really good time. So watch. Here they come down again. Buy signal coming in here on this candle. right here on this one. Price pressure bands open. The Cobra crosses the rim of the trade channel, the green rim of the trade channel. They're all the colors are matching up. You just got to trade the next pullback signal line. There it is. Boom. Boomerang. 71.50, and it literally boomerangs higher after going down. Then it boomerangs, you throw them out and they go around, they stop, and they circle back. That's what this, like, they're going down and down. And what it's doing in a case like this, you got all these Johnny come lately short sellers going, oh, the market's going down, it's going to get hit. And the boomerang takes them out and cleans out their stops. That's where a lot of this market force is coming from. And that's what we do all day long. So they run them up again. What about this one? You had a counter sell channel, counter buy arrow. Yeah, it's a little riskier, you know, but guess what? Let's see how Boomerang handled it. Buy channel, Cobra is already crossed over the core line of the underside there, the rim of the trade channel. Pull back to the signal line. I wouldn't recommend this one, but 03 runs up to 15. So you got easily 8 points in that surge. And one might say, well, how do we know this didn't happen before? Because when it prints a dot on the signal line, the prices went there. It went there before this happened, is what I'm saying. So anyway, but this one, you know, you're getting a little stretched out on the upside because of this move. I don't know, you might just want to watch and wait a little bit. Doesn't matter. So I won't count this one anyway. All right, well, here they come back down again. Price pressure bands open. Down they go. But then look at this. They, again, 1, 2, 3, 4 candles surging down. This is the bottom of the tray, the fat channel. See, if you turn your head to the left, you can see the big belly sticking out here to the downside. We don't want to take this trade. It's too choppy. Just leave it alone. Let it go. Don't worry about it. Same in here. It's a whipsaw mess. Just have to stand aside, and you can tell all the dynamic trend band along with the core bias line, yes, they've crossed under, so that suggests, you'll know, well, this has crossed under. It suggests a sell trade is where I want to be. So you just wait, and now you see the sell channel come in here with the dynamic trend bands opening. Aha, now I'll get aboard on that one here, or if you miss it, even down here would have been okay. It's a channel, but this is your real entry here. But even if you caught this, with that dynamic trend band crossing under the core bias line, it's going to hit them hard in most cases, and it did. So another 8 points. I'm marking that down here, getting up there, and we're getting close to the end of the session. New buy channel, just follow the rules. Now here you see the dynamic trend bands, you're above that, it's sloping up. So what you might on this, and it's chopping around a little bit, you might want to wait for a little more confirmation. Well, how do you do that? The Cobra has crossed into the trade channel. Wait for this to turn green, then go ahead and trade that pullback on the signal line there, and you see up they go. Again, this little bit shaky. It's a correct trade, and you see Boomerang made it work out into a profitable trade, but I'll just skip marking this one down for now. A lot of whips on there, but that, you know, once you're in the trade, you're not going to, whipsaw shouldn't shake you out. That's not the point. It's just that ends up being a dynamic, it ends up being a good trade because you just maybe waited for the trade channel rim to trade to the green side, to turn colors on the green side. Okay, we're almost done here. It's just a very brief webinar today. Now they're going on the sell side, a new sell channel right there. You see the arrow. The dynamic trend bands are already open. And let me open this up a little bit. The Cobra is dropped. Here's the trade signal line. You have to get that in there, obviously. And here's the Cobra as of this candle dropping into the channel. So there's your pullback to the signal line, and then they hit them down there for 8 points. Again, it's fast action more than other trades, but you just always have to be ready for fast action. What about this one? Here's a bearish dynamic trend band that's just crossed under the core bias line, and you're getting a little scrunched up buy channel, better to skip this. Why? Because a dynamic trend band crossed under there. Maybe they're going to surge lower. I don't know. It might recross and surge higher, which is what it ended up doing into the close. But nonetheless, just forget about this one. What happened to it anyway with the dynamic trend band crossing the rim of the trade channel? There was a buy here, let's say 76.75, and it ended up giving you 8 points anyway, even though I'm not going to count this because it's one of those where you just kind of little squeamish because of the cross under of the magenta colored, bearish colored dynamic trend band. Well, then we turn blue again down here. It's a good deal. We get the blue color going, and we get the rim of the new buy channel opening up as of this candle. Dynamic or price pressure bands are open. They run up here, and look at that. They're back, all matching color here. Surging on the buy side again. Might as well take this trade here, and you go long, and it sort of slow grinds its way up from 93 up to 2000 or 406. So 8 points within this stretch here. And then here you don't have anything going on, and then here's the close of the session here. There's one more final trade set up I'm doing the whole session. Here's the sell channel. You can see the arrow. The sell channel opens. Immediately the trade channel is red. The Cobra is in the middle of or entered into the trade channel. Of course, the trade signal line is, and the price pressure band. You got all these things stacked. It's so simple. You go short on this yellow dot, and there's your 8 points. Okay, so you with me on that? So here we go. Adding them all up here. Let's see. 6 and 5 is 11. And 5 is 16, 17, 18, 20. I got 20 trade signals, skipping several of those as you saw. I think 2 or 3 of them. 20 trade signals for the whole session. Now, I'm not trying to hype the thing or anything. I'm just telling you the reality. If you had 4 contracts on all those and you were trading on that basis, and again, you can set it up with your brackets, 4 contracts on the entry, automatic 12-point stop, automatic 8-point gain. You're just reading the system, clicking the dots, and 20 trades at $620. Now hold on, I don't want to scare you or anything. $12,400. Up to $12,400 trading the exact signals on this particular day. I still don't even know what day it is. It doesn't really matter. They're all like this. They're all like this. So let me show you for our members who already have Boomerang as promised, and we'll wrap up this brief seminar here. You go into your indicators, and then you go to your Boomerang indicators, obviously. And the first thing you want to do is go to the trade signal line. See that? You highlight it, and that opens it up. I'm going to just move this over so you just see the key part. So on the trade signal line, you go down to the bottom. I'll tell you where to go exactly on Boomerang. You go down the bottom. Cobra. Open up the Cobra. The white dot, the white color makes it color the signal line of the Cobra. All I want you to do is thicken that up to 6 points. That's what I'm using here on this chart. Thicken that up to 6 points. And what was originally called, when I invented Boomerang, wasn't the trade signal line, but the trade bias line. Later became the trade signal line, still is. So go up to TBL, open that up, and same thing, having it colored white will color the trade signal line, and thicken that up to 4. I think that's pretty good. That correlates. You can make it thicker, but I think 4 is pretty good. See? So that's the first thing you're doing. Now go to dynamic trend bands. It's the easiest thing in the world. Just go to the dynamic trend bands here, and all I want you to do, you have we used to use dynamic trend band number 1. Now we're just using dynamic trend band number 2, which is called the slow line in trading talk on the program configuration. And the fast down and fast up was the dynamic trend band number 1. All I want you to do is go in here and just move it up and color it transparent. That's all you're doing, is you just move it up to the color called transparent on both of these. See that? And then save and OK it. And that'll pop out the dynamic trend band number 1. We're not using it anymore. As you've seen, our new trade channel within the trade channel is the trade signal line and the Cobra. It's beautiful. It works beautiful. Okay. And then last but not least is the trade channel. Trade channels. So on the slow line, yeah, the rim of the trade channel, I show here that I have it colored red. Let me check something here. I think red is the default color to color the rim of the trade channel. And these are all the regions. Region means the traded shaded area. So you don't have to worry about it. That's all you're changing is this. And let's see what the fast line shows. It's transparent. Oh yeah, the fast line is okay. The fast line, this rim of the trade channel is transparent. You see that? And the slow line, which is the upper rim, the lower rim, move that to the color red, and then that, by putting it on the color red, it'll color it automatically red to green, red to green. And then thicken that up. I have mine set here to 0.3. Okay, and you can always go over this video if you want to do it. Nothing else has changed. Now again, boomerang, I'm not going to give this line here in this seminar, but if you want to know what the configuration of this line is, what I am calling the core bias line, CBL, you can just email me at mohan@daytradersaction. I'll be glad to give it to you. No problem, you know, if you're a boomerang owner. So thanks so much for joining with us today. You can see the tremendous effects of trading with the new Boomerang Day Trader 2021. That'll mark the date we changed and upgraded to this approach. And this video will be on my YouTube channel here. You can go to YouTube and then just search Day Traders Action Live Trading Room, or just Day Traders Action Live, and the video will be posted here, as well as on my where else? Oh, on the Boomerang site, boomerangdaytrader.com, under resources, which you've heard me refer to this many times for all our other videos and everything. So if you're watching things like the 4-step confirmation process, this is still essentially true, but I just gave you the new rules for today. I'll be posting that here. It'll say something like, you know, Boomerang 2021, new Boomerang configuration, read the rules here, whatever. Just everything we've showed you in this video. So that's it, and that'll help you get started. And we really want to thank you for joining with us today, and have a great rest of the day. And email me if you have any questions.